So when I started this ketogenic diet in the year 2018 February, I've been doing ketogenic diet not very long. So when I started doing ketogenic diet, my fat consumption is about 70%. And my protein intake is about 20 to 25. And I keep my carbs, my carbohydrate to a very minimal, like 5%. How my ketogenic way of eating is, I will consume a lot of meat. Okay, I will have chicken, I will have lamb, I will have sometimes beef, because I'm an Asian. And so because of religion, I don't consume beef a lot while staying with my parents because they worship the god, the Guan. So I don't consume beef, but right now I move out, I stay alone. Okay, I do regularly consume beef. I also used to consume duck, but after realizing that duck actually consume bread, I stopped taking duck meat, okay, because the way they are bred. And also I stopped consuming chicken in the year 2022 June. So it's been 2 years and 4 months. The modern way of farming the chicken nowadays is very different from what is in the past. Some of the chicken, most of the chickens, they are being crammed inside a cage. They are not exposed to the sunlight. They are not fed to the correct food for them to grow properly. So they have a lot of issues, and partly because I stopped consuming chicken is because of this amyloid protein, which will affect our brain when we age. I listened to one of the podcasts from Spotify. It's a lady who spoke about this amyloid protein. So after listening all this, I stopped consuming, Partly because I also know that chickens are not fed with the proper diet. So they are actually trapped in the cage. They are being fed with, corn, wheat, all this. So it's not a proper diet. There's a lot of issues with all these chickens. So I stopped consuming them for about 2 years now. When I do the ketogenic diet, I also consume quite a lot of seeds and nuts. A lot of them consume a lot of these pecans, macadamias. These are all the healthy nuts, high fat content, even Brazil nuts. All these are very good. But I don't really stop. I reduce drastically. I don't consume them on a regular basis nowadays, all these nuts, because they also have a very high content of omega-6, which is more like a pro-oxidant. You do need a little amount of omega-6, but you do not need to consume too much of it. As in, some of the people, the optimal ratio is about 1:2, or maybe the maximum you can go is 1:4, 4 being the omega-6, 1 is the omega-3. But nowadays, if you go and Google online, a lot of people are consuming 1:17, 1:20, so that's a lot. Why is that so? Because a lot of them coming from vegetable seed oil. That's the reason why I stopped consuming all these vegetable oils. In terms of fruits, I also consume avocado back then. Okay, avocado, there's a lot of blackberries, blueberries, raspberry. All these fruits are also called being approved if you are doing a ketogenic. If you are someone not metabolically unhealthy, you can do consume a small amount of bananas or apples. But if you are not, I would suggest you to remove them, no matter how much you love to eat them. For fish and seafood, I don't consume quite a lot because there's a lot more work when you want to prepare them. And fish, if you keep it more than 3 days or more, the histamine tends to build up very fast. So fish, even for meat, you have to eat it fresh. Okay, maybe on the day you purchase, or maybe you can keep another 1 day. Try not to keep them for long, because the longer you keep them, the more histamine they have in the body, even after you cook them. Vegetables, when I do consume them, when I'm still doing the ketogenic diet, I don't really consume a lot of vegetables. But if you want to turn maybe sweet potato under vegetables, it's under one of them. Other than that, I don't take a lot of vegetables. Sometimes when you order food, when you're eating out, some of the vegetables tends to mix into the meat, tends to mix into some of the dishes. I will just consume them a little bit, but right now I just pick them out. I don't consume them anymore. In terms of eggs, so the best source will be, if you want to go for the best source, and if you can afford to buy the best one, will be the organic free range eggs. So if you're not, then you can go for the second tier, which is the free range eggs. When you go down the tiers, under this continuum, the quality of the eggs is very different. The omega-3 ratio is very different. Even the choline inside the eggs, the vitamins is all in difference, because when you go down different tiers, the chicken are fed with different type of food. So the eggs they actually lay is very different. If the chicken is very healthy, having all the sunlight and the proper bugs and worms they consume, their eggs will be very, very nutritious. The omega-3 will be very high. If the chicken is fed the wrong diet, then the eggs won't be of a higher quality. Do you agree? There's a lot of people also consume coffee when they're doing ketogenic diet. For someone who doesn't consume coffee, then this doesn't apply to you. If you really love to drink coffee, I used to buy this coffee machine. I won't go into the branding of the coffee machines, okay? But coffee machines, when you insert all these pots, coffee pots, when water going into this chamber, going through your coffee pots, moisture will be trapped inside this chamber. There's a very high tendency that this water, this trapped moisture, will eventually grow mold. Okay, so if you want to clean your coffee machines, you have to clean it very thoroughly. And if you consume it on a daily basis, then you have to do your maintenance check more frequently. So instead of doing all this work, I go through the more manual type of making coffee. You can do your French press. You can do, the drip, all this different type of method. Instead of getting these coffee machines, it might look very classy, but you have all these issues and maintenance. You have to put yourself into the work. So I stopped. I sold my machines. I consume about 70% fat. So the type of fat, my favorite type of fat will be the heavy cream. Okay, in Singapore, we don't call it heavy cream. Most of the so-called heavy cream, they are under this label called whipping cream. So I believe it's the same. The fat content for this whipping cream and heavy cream is about 38%. I consume this whipping cream on a daily basis inside my coffee. That's when a lot of people name it this bulletproof coffee. The traditional way of bulletproof coffee is just the coffee, MCT oil, and butter. But you can change this recipe to your liking. For me, I use the coffee. The type of coffee is also very important, okay? I mentioned about this coffee machines. This is one thing. But the type of coffee you buy must be mold-free, okay? So they underwent this mold checks for the coffee. You do not want to buy a coffee which has a lot of mold built up. Even though they are ground or full coffee bean, you have to make sure the coffee you are getting is mold-free. So it's much safer for you to consume them. So every day I will just consume just 1 cup of coffee. Okay, I'm using the mold-free coffee. I have this whipping cream, grass-fed butter, and a little bit of this pink Himalayan salt. Okay, if you prefer something of a sweetener, I would suggest one of the very highest quality one. Personally, I'm using this organic monk fruit extract. You might not want to use it, or if you prefer to drink a slightly chiller type of coffee, you might want to add some honey. Okay, the honey you need to opt for pesticide-free organic honey. That will be the premium choice. Okay, try not to go for very regular honey, because you do not want all your food, okay, any type of food, it doesn't want to have the glyphosate, the pesticide, the herbicide. All these are toxins. They will build up in your body. So you want to eliminate as much as you can. So you have to go through all the food, the labels, the nutrition listings, everything you have to read and check. You do not want to consume them, especially the ones that you consume them on a daily basis. You will build up inside your body, so you have a hard time to remove them. If you have underlying issues, you have to manage this disorder. You still have to manage to eliminate toxins of your body. So you're using more of the raw materials to build your antioxidants. So you can either choose one. So when you do not have all this, your body have a harder time to break down and to remove them from your body. I did this ketogenic diet back in February 2018. Okay, then when I changed to a more carnivore style way of eating, that's when was just around the COVID period, October 2019. So I did ketogenic diet is about 20 months. Thereafter, carnivore until now, it's more like a whole food, animal-based way of eating. So all this is about 5 years from then. But all in all, from ketogenic until now is about 6.5 years, almost 7 years. This coming February 2025 will be my 7th year. If you want to try this ketogenic diet, I would strongly advise to go for a very, very extensive research to go for it. How you go to choose your food, how you want to go past this, the keto flu. If you want to know more, you can maybe leave down in the comments. I can talk more about all this. You must understand the transition. If you yourself is coming from this conventional way of eating, then to this ketogenic way of eating, the transition, how you want to switch this. Then from there, how you want to adapt yourself to become fat adapted. So you have this flexibility to change the way you burn the fuel. You can burn the fat fuel, the ketones, and change to burn your glucose at the same time when in times of needs. So you need to understand there's a lot. I came across all this when I'm doing the ketogenic along the way. So there's a lot of information you need to find out. Okay. Keep a food journal with you, a tracking system. I do all this food journal on my first day of ketogenic. I will show you some of the screenshots which I did back then in 2018. Okay, I just put it as meal plans or meal schedule or intermittent fasting schedule. It depends on how you name it, but you need some sort of tracking. So you know how you progress, what happened to you, what you experience when doing all this. If you feel something is wrong, you have to step down, back up a little bit, and change. You have to do some course corrections along the way. You have to do some fine tuning. Different body, we are built differently. Okay, all of us, especially when you are a Westerner and an Asian. Our size, our weight, our weather, the seasons, the environment, everything contributes. They are all the different factors that can support you or to make it a worse place for you to do. Okay, so if you want to know more about all this ketogenic diet or how you can actually eat a more nutritious way, you can check out my past videos here.